Good afternoon to everyone that has joined us, and good morning to those of you that have joined us from overseas. Thank you so much for joining us for today's webinar. As always, we're just going to leave it sort of a minute just to allow everyone to settle in for today's webinar. So it's great to see that we've got so many joining us today. Angel and Abby, all good?
Absolutely.
I do try and stay quiet, but I can never stay quiet.
We are here to help.
Yeah, I'm like the worst person. I'd be really bad at a game where you had to stay quiet for 60 seconds. I'd definitely fail. Okay, so those of you that join us, we're just waiting just for a minute or so just to allow everyone to settle in just before we start. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about revolutionising global payroll, best practices for selection, implementation and transformation. So I think they're the three key words there. And I'm happy to say that we have ADP and GP sponsoring. So I'm just going to go through the agenda. Actually, before we start, we were talking just before we started the webinar. We would really like today's webinar to be interactive. So if you do have any questions, please ask away, because I think it makes it more entertaining for our speakers, our presenters, and also for yourself. And then we have really good experienced speakers today. So, please ask away. Okay, so today's agenda: welcome and introduction to our guest speakers, why a robust global payroll solution matters, selecting the right partner and best practices for implementation, success story time, and Q&A. I feel like we've already just got a question come through, but I'll look in a minute. That was super keen. Okay, so just to introduce our panelists, my name is Melanie Pitsey. I'm the CEO of the GPA, and we have Angel. So Angel, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yep, so hi everyone, my name is Angel. I've been with ADP for several years already, working on global payroll projects. Happy to be here today with you and share some insights and probably some interesting facts for you. Abby?
Thank you very much. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining this session. My name is Abby. I'm based in France, and sorry, I'm French. I work for GP for the past 4 years and used to work for ADP for 17 years. And my job on a daily basis is to help companies to grow and expand.
Well, Abby, I feel like I need to apologise that I'm English. You don't need to apologise.
You don't have to.
So let's not start there. So we're doing something new today. I'm a little bit nervous, but we're also a little bit excited to see how this is going to work. So we're offering, we have a competition and we're offering some AirPods. I would love to win this because I was just saying the other day I keep losing mine. It's becoming an expensive accessory. So there will be a question towards the end, and it will be the first person who's the quickest on the button. I think that's what we agreed, with the correct answer that will win the AirPods. So so something new, and then we can send them out to the person that has won. Okay, so let's start then, Angel. So why does a robust global payroll solution matter?
Melanie, I suppose this is a very good question for our audience today, but let me before share my thoughts here. Let's start with first, as you say, why a robust payroll solution matters so much in today's global landscape. It's good that our statements are backed by solid numbers. So according to a very recent PwC study, 67% of global organizations face compliance risks when managing payroll through localized systems. And I think no one is surprised here. When you operate multiple markets, each with its own set of labor laws, fragmented payroll systems can lead to inefficiencies, data inaccuracies, and regulatory errors. This is where usually centralization makes a difference. Companies that have moved to integrated global payroll platforms have seen improvements in compliance, in operational efficiency, and employee satisfaction. And not only does standardization reduce errors, but it's important to mention that real-time data insights also enable strategic workforce decisions. There is a cultural impact too here. So employees feel more secure knowing they're paid accurately and on time, no matter where they're based. As KPMG puts it, they say integrated payroll solutions are the backbone of global workforce management in today's agile business environment. And I think this is like a very brief and short explanation of why global payroll matters that much nowadays. But probably if you help me here to jump to the next slide, I have a question to our audience, and it would be really nice to hear from you, from all of you here. What are the biggest challenges you're facing as payroll leader? Wow. What are your big headaches when it comes to being payroll leader and handling payroll in multiple countries? Here you can pick up your questions from the poll. It's about compliance, scalability, payroll accuracy, timelines, access to reporting data to make decisions, data security, or you can drop your answer here in the chat. So we'll be happy to see.
Yeah, if there's anything that we've missed out on, put it on the chat. Abby, what do you reckon is going to be the winner on this one?
On this list?
Yeah, what do you reckon is going to be the highest?
I think it will be compliance. And yeah, I will go for compliance. My preference is compliance scalability based on the fact that we are talking about global payroll, where this is really difficult to grow, to be compliant, but also to find the right partner, to find based on my requirements in a country where I can have a small number of employees, and in some others I can have a large plant. So it's quite difficult for a company to find a vendor having these nuances.
So we've got, sorry, Angel.
Yeah, I'm just checking the chat and I see some answers regarding integration. This is a very interesting topic because on daily basis, I'm in contact with many companies talking about their global payroll. And when we talk with HR directors, they have like the perfect solution in their minds. Everything must be integrated. And many times they say like, unfortunately, we're still not there, but we'll be more than happy to get it done one day. So yeah, integration is, I would say, is something that could be a real challenge nowadays for HR professionals.
Okay, so I have this figure and we're nearly there. Come on. If you haven't voted or if you haven't put your answer on the poll, could you just, one person, that's all I need, and then we'll close the poll up. And then, yes, thank you so much, whoever you were. Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to share the results. Can you see the results? Yeah. Okay, so we've got compliance 42%, scalability 7%, payroll accuracy, timeliness 24%, access to reporting data to make decisions 23%, and data security 4%. So you're both pretty much there with compliance.
Interesting.
I agree completely. When it comes to compliance, it's about compliance.
Yeah. Okay. So why is selecting the right partner so important, Angel?
I would be more than happy to be able to share a recipe with the key criteria that we all should keep in mind when it comes to selecting a global payroll partner. There are many things to mention here, but I will focus only on 4 of them. There are many more, but let's start with these 4 that we have here on our screens. So once you decide to centralize payroll, the next critical step is choosing the right partner. And based on our experience and insights from ADP and globalization partners, here are probably the 4 key criteria to consider. Scalability. So can the provider grow with your business and support expansion into new markets? Keep that in mind. It's super important and critical for your companies. Global compliance expertise, something that you just mentioned in the poll, how critical and important it is for you, that it's one of the main challenges that you're facing nowadays. So leading providers like ADP and globalization partners offer local compliance support in over 140 countries. Another key criteria that I would mention here is the end-to-end coverage. Ensure that the provider offers payroll services across all your operational regions. And last but not least, data security with sensitive employee data at stake. Adherence to global standards like GDPR and SOC 2 is something that nowadays is non-negotiable. And I would add as well that 78% of the companies adopting global payroll systems report a 20% reduction in compliance errors. And this is a very recent ADP study. This shows that the right provider can genuinely improve accuracy and reduce risks on your site. So once you select the perfect global payroll provider for you, Melanie, sorry, if we can jump on the next slide, it comes to...
Can I just stop you?
Sure, yeah.
We had somebody just put a message in the chat, and it's just outside of systems and processes, most C-levels are not convinced that a global payroll transformation is needed to alleviate the top challenges.
This is a very good question, and this is probably asking in another way why a global payroll solution is important nowadays. And this is one of the conversations that I'm having on a daily basis, why it's important. So it's if you want to keep growing and expanding, nowadays growth is based on, most in the cases, expansion. If you keep expanding, you need to be sure that your company at least is compliant in the markets where you're going to be present, that your employees in these countries are paid on time and correctly, and avoid any risk. So which is the way to do this? Global payroll solution, which gives you first visibility, control, guarantees in terms of compliance, guarantees that your employees are paid on time and correctly. And on the other side, you guarantee a solid base for your business to keep expanding, which is the base for the future growth of your company. Therefore, I would say, like, obviously, this is a very interesting topic, and I would ask people from your audience if they would like to have a deeper conversation in details. At the end of this presentation, you're going to find my details and Avi, and we'll be more than happy to jump in a face-to-face conversation and enter more into details. But this is like very briefly explained.
No, I like it, Judy. I like it. To the question from Judy Hamilton, just on the chat, it's very interesting to step back from the systems. I think it's interesting the way, Judy, you have written the question outside of systems and processes. What's important for the C-levels? I think it depends on where you are in your journey. If you are expanding mode, having let's say a vendor covering 140 countries will help to penetrate, speed to market, get the right talent on board, and so on. If you are going through an emergent acquisition, having a partner, a global partner, will be an asset to secure the process and make sure that you keep your assets, which are the employees that you are getting from the people, but also the technology you are getting from this new acquisition. But also from a vendor selection perspective, if you have, let's say, 10 vendors in 10 countries, and you need to, most of the time, HR and payroll team are really stretched. They have a lot to do with a few headcount. So if you mix that with an integration we discussed just earlier, having an HCM, because HCM will help you to engage people, increase your productivity, but you can't do it with a fragmented systems. So if you want an integration, you need an unified system. You need uniformity to be able to achieve your goals, unless you want to hire 10 other people to do the same job. So most of the companies do connect HCM with global payroll, because this is making sense from a in and out workflow, but from a technology perspective, but from a people perspective, this is where you can increase the productivity. This is where you can have an agile organization. And that's what is key for your CEO. If you look at the last PwC or KPMG study on this topic, number two topics for the CEO is one, staying ahead of any local legislation, stopping them to succeed, and secondly, getting the best talent across the globe. So that's two key points where global payroll linked to HCM or linked to a strategy in place can help you really to get the buy-in from your C-level. But as Angel mentioned, we have a ton of examples that we can share. Sorry, Melanie, for being long.
No, that's good. And somebody else has mentioned the partnership as well, how important it is to have a partnership with the payroll provider and also the client, and to ensure that you look at that, like, what's your relationship going to be like when you start working together?
Yeah, absolutely. And one question really interesting from Will Jackson saying that for data security, it isn't enough to rely on certification. Will you spot on? You know, a lot of providers in this market, whatever this is EOR or payroll, are hiding themselves around the different certification. But most of them, if you ask them to do a penetration test on their security, or you know, understand how many people they have to cover yourself in case of any kind of incident. Today, this is a key question. So don't stick into, you know, a very nice PDF or a very nice talker. I'm not saying I'm a good talker or bad, but don't stay just with this vernier of this documentation. Stick on the contract, the agreements. Dig in, has the right question. Have your professional on an IT side really having a very deep discussion on the IT, or rely on third party being able to really assess if the technology and security of the partners. We see that a lot with Angel during RFPs and RFIs, where people ask a lot of very nice questions, but sometimes forget that, you know, the answers will not be 100% really relevant or accurate. So you need to make your job and make sure that the question and all the answers are bespoke to what you're looking for and really related to your goals. I stop here because it can be long.
It's good. I think it's great that people are talking to us via chat. So please, you know, carry on with any questions. It's great. So Angel, like, what are the best practices for implementation?
This is a very interesting moment when you already select your global payroll provider. Probably this is like one of the most important moments of setting up your global payroll. This is putting a solid base for your global payroll solution. And I would say, like, this is the moment when you're having like the biggest headaches, because it requires an additional effort on your side. So allocate from your resources to dedicate time on the implementation. But even with the best partner, successful implementation requires like very careful planning. We'll share with you here like 4 best practices to follow. The first one that I would mention here is the stakeholder alignment. Be sure that you engage internally HR, finance, IT, compliance teams early on time, so you have this internal support for your project, and it's made smooth. A second advice from us, it's piloting programs. Start small tests in a few regions before full-scale rollout. We know how busy you are. You have another important tasks in your daily activities. It's not only the implementation, so we must be smart when we decide how to roll out our global payroll solution, and have a careful eye on our resources. And probably, Avi, here you can add some other different practices that you would like to share with our audience.
Absolutely, Angela. You spot on something really important. Implementation or switching from a vendor to another will never be easy, but have in mind that you need to do some homework before that. Make sure that you select the right countries to start first. So you basically have 3 kind of options. One, which is a one country implementation. So you implement country by country basis. You can create then a cluster of countries that may seem for you much more prioritizing to some others. And the last piece, which I not recommend, except if you have a transaction date in the merger and acquisitions or spin-off situation, it's what we call the big bang, where you have all countries implemented by a deadline. So in any cases, it has to be, you need to be careful. You have already in place with your current vendors, local vendors, some agreements with the notice period to respect. You have also some, fiscal year starting at some point. If you do, for example, in the Netherlands, a switch during the year, you will need to go back and some retro calculation from January 1st. So there are some tweaks based on the country legislation and so on. So make sure you stay connected with the partner that you are going to select, or even during your RFP, have these questions. It's going to give you a kind of flavor of the expertise locally, which is always tricky because it goes to the next point, which is customization versus standardization. Of course, having uniformity across the globe with a global payroll solution is key to reduce cost, to do better, to automate. We saw to ensure accuracy, and also to have some metrics in place to manage your business. But you need also to have some nuances in some countries. For example, if the banking payment process in the UAE is slightly different than most of the countries where ADP can offer, information across the globe with bank payments. But you can have some extra work to manage in some countries, where in France, for example, you can have also additional reports to manage. So you need to take the best of the two worlds: global uniformity to secure your project and the overall strategy, but you need also to have a partner able to tweak some local nuances and local reports that needs to be managed in the language, knowing the culture, and so on. So that's really key. So you need to have the best of the two worlds. Last but not least, the vendor partnership. I think we'll mention that in the chat as well. Having large providers not having the same aspect on the partnership. Sometimes it's not always mutual. I think in this space, the global payroll space, you can find very large providers not able to bespoke to your size of vendors, where they are focusing on very large enterprise, but not a lot in the mid-size or on the small businesses, where GPA and ADP is really having some targeted solutions for all the different size of your scope. But I think you need also to have a governance in place with the regular communication if you want to succeed. Of course, leverage vendor training resources. That's really important. I can mention, for as an example, a very large IT company having a spin-off in 80 countries that we managed at that time in 18 months in 80 countries. It was a headache. It was huge. It requires a lot of effort from both sides. We did it, but it's an ongoing communication that needs to start from day one. So don't hide anything to your partner, and vice versa. So have a very trusted relationship with them, and have an SLA in place, of course, to make that happen. And you need guarantee. We did that also recently with the Fortune 500 companies, where we implemented 25 countries in 6 months. But again, it goes with really very good communication.
And probably, Avi, you have some good examples from your practice in globalization partners that you can share with us. A nice story.
I have something really nice to share as well. Yeah, you're right, Enhan. So let me share with you a very cool story that is Deliverect is one of our client that back to 2018, Deliverect has become the universal backbone on food, on-demand food. At that stage, they were a small company in a couple of countries, but they had this genius idea of being the #1 vendor in their industry. So imagine a world where every restaurant, from smallest bistro to large chain, will be able to manage online food orders to reduce operational chaos, but also matter on what make the difference, which is serving great food. So Deliverect take ahead this project and succeed during a time where the market was really booming, but with the challenge of all not restaurant having the technology expertise and resources to keep up. So they succeed by having one vendor, but the challenges at that time were really quite difficult. They needed to expand in a lot of countries to hire talent, navigating across legislation, payroll, HR complexities, but also needing the speed to market is really key in this kind of situation. When you are a small company is willing to grow, in average between 6 to 9 months, if you don't go speedily to the market, you can face a situation where a vendor, local competitor, will be taking your prototype, copy paste your prototype, and being a local competitor from day one if they have already the structure in place. So they succeed to move from 30 employees to 500 employees across 40 markets with one vendor, which is GP. And they are the #1 leader in their industry, and they were able to achieve this amazing story and amazing success in a couple of years, which is really, really a good example where you succeed. And you have really nice quote from their lead global mobility when she said, "The minute we decide to enter a new market, I trust our partner GP that will give the information, of course, to hire quickly and compliantly." So this is a kind of turnkey solution that can help you to be to compete against your competitor with a really true advantage. And this is beyond to go back to the question earlier from Jill. It's much beyond just having technology and process in place. Is creating a solution, a situation where you move from a payroll administrative burden and create really a strategy on the payroll to make it as an asset for the company and the business.
And I think that, Abby, this is like another proof of our previous topic. Why is it so important nowadays to have a robust global payroll solution? Imagine handling 500 employees across 40 markets with a fragmented payroll system, with local providers, with no visibility. I would rather say that this nowadays is almost impossible, or you should have like a huge HR team spending hours and hours on doing things that probably with a good global payroll solution, it will take you just a few clicks. So
I agree, Angel. And if you look at all the payroll managers and directors or HR or VP people on the call today, they know that very well. If they have being compliant in a country is already a burden, but if you can have a vendor, you can face culture, you can face different format, you can face different reports, you can have a different agreement, you have GDPR, you can have a lot of different obstacles to succeed. So all what I mentioned, if you multiply that by 5 or by 6 based on the countries you are covering, it's a challenge. So we do understand that you day to day. So and I think this is a shortcut to succeed to think, with a global strategy in place.
Are you both okay to? We've had a couple of comments. If that's
Sure.
a good time to ask. So Marta replied to Judy, to the above, we are all part of an ecosystem internally and externally. Data is key to success. If you can show value add not only to the payroll team, but to upstream and downstream partners, you'll get the proper attention. For example, data accuracy touches many HR input, payroll process and finance output. Automation and streamline will have a net positive to many.
Well, I can't disagree with that. I think that's really a good tip. Of course, taking the right decision, having the right analytic for your C-level suite is really key for them. And if you move to a situation where you just rely on, getting the information from a local provider, and then you have to translate this information. Let's say you get the information in Spain or in Spanish, or you get information from, let's say, another country in the Gulf or in North America, and you need to consolidate all this information to the C-level. Information will not be unified. Information will be fragmented, and you can't really take a right decision with that. But yeah, of course, we're having global payroll, having real on-time data information pertinent that you can leverage for your C-level. That's key for any decision.
And if you allow me, Abby, this is a very good point of view, a very good argument, because many times when I have these conversations with HR directors, payroll managers, many times they say, I would love to do it, but I don't have internal support, so it's not up to me. So there are several points, like data is one of them, that I would say all HR professionals can use it to get, for example, internal ambassadors, so they can make the project valid for the entire company, because the impact having a global payroll solution, the impact is not only on HR, it's on the entire system of the company, and it's in finances, in operations, in HR. So you see like huge impact. So my advice here is, when you start working on the global payroll project, try to involve everyone that is impacted by this change from the very beginning. And if you're interested in having it, make these people to be your ambassadors in the company. That will help you a lot, really.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to cover on that, Melanie, the combination of VP Finance or VP HR and Finance is really key in this kind of project, because they all get benefits of this. If you have an in and out flow between the products, you ease with the GL, for example, going to the finance system, you reduce the number of the FTE costs, but you get also the right information on time, and you just have to click. And the systems today allows also segregation of duties, which means that you can have, if you are a finance manager, you can have access to the report, and you don't have to bother with all the other stuff that may not be relevant to you. So that's totally relevant.
And we have another Sorry, Angel.
No, I said absolutely.
Okay. We have another question from Will. Most of the effort of implementation is adapting software around the business T's and C's. It's important that clients rationalize their own business mess. Implementing a technology is not going to solve the client's complexity in their business. Rationalizing a definite benefit. Would you guys agree?
Oh, I can't disagree again. I think, Jill, you pointed the right thing is that before, going through this process and this journey, you may need to make sure that, if I can use your same wording, you need to clean your own mess internally. So, because it's not by going with a vendor that can help with uniformity that this is where you're gonna, solve your issues and clean your business. Sometimes it helps because it's put the pressure on the people creating this mess. But I will really advise to make sure that before going to this kind of project, otherwise the journey will be complicated and really long. Clean your mess internally. Make sure that you use different tools that you have correctly, so they can welcome or any kind of new technology to get integrated with. Or at least you have a clean process that will help to move on. But yeah, to your point, Jill, Will, I agree with you. It has to be cleaned.
Just one more question before we go on, if that's okay. How will the new vendor ensure the same level of accuracy, compliance, and service quality, especially in complex international payroll processing or transition?
And do you want to take this one, or do you want me to answer?
Well, you can start. I can go after you as you started. Feel free.
Oh, thanks, Antoine. Again, I love this question because it touched the point of the how professional is your partner. So to give you I don't have the name, it's Animus, but it's fine. A payroll vendor like a GP or ADP or whatever it is, the partner needs to provide you two types of documentation when they guarantee that they will comply with legislation. One of them is the standard operating model or standard operating procedure, which basically will list all the activities in country and how they are mandatory and how to manage that. And the second document is what we call customized operating procedure, which is the bespoke of legislation and processes to your own scenario. First, this documentation, of course, it has to be an extension of the agreement. It has to be included into the MSA or the master service agreement or the master agreement that you're going to have with your vendor. And to ensure level of accuracy, you should have also metrics. So accuracy to the timelines, to the accuracy to payroll, system availability, and so on. And it has to be also reflected in the agreement. I'll pass the ball to you, Antoine.
So I will be very short here. So when it comes to compliance, one of the very first things we guarantee our clients is you're going to be compliant. In the country where we run your payroll, you stay compliant. When it comes to accuracy, this is like, I would say, two-side responsibilities, because it's important how fast and how good is your data so we can process it on time and be accurate. So if we work as a team, you should not be afraid of the accuracy you're going to have at the end. Just very short, because I see we are moving forward with the time.
Yes. Okay, over to you, Angel.
So this is my favorite part. This is the time to some of you is going to get a nice award here. So the question is, before choosing a global partner, which key factor should you prioritize? We mentioned it several times during the conversation. So if you have listened carefully, you already have the answer. I see that Elena, yeah, Michelle, Jose. So, well, guys, are you sure it's E? I'm not very sure this is the right answer. E, someone is saying B, E.
The person that said yes, you got to put a letter in. Got the answer.
So many answers. I get lost. Probably we can give some more time. Melanie, what do you think?
Yeah, just maybe 30 seconds or so. I think payroll people might be slightly competitive. payroll and HR people. Maybe we need to do this a bit more often. Just have like a webinar where we just give things away. Yeah, Helena seems to have won. Yeah.
Yeah, I like this competition.
Can I just ask? Do we agree Helena won that because she seems to be the quickest on that? Yeah. Helena, could you do me a favor? Could you just DM me your details? I will have your email address most probably on the registration, but just in case anything goes wrong, if you could just just DM me. Thanks, Helena.
So the right answer is E, all of the above. And it's about their ability to scale, their local and global compliance expertise, their end-to-end service coverage, and their commitment to data security. So all this is super important and critical for a global payroll project.
So over to you, Abby, on the key takeaways.
Absolutely. I think that we covered a lot today, but briefly, but I think it was the purpose to make sure that we have the time to cover everything that may be interesting for you. First of all, make sure that you connect with us, because if you have any other question, we are more than happy to answer. But basically, you understood today that global payroll strategy today, where everything is interconnected, is critical. So you have to put in place a strategy. You have also to work to get some buying, as mentioned earlier in the chat, but this is going to help you a lot to scale your business and have a sustainable growth, first of all. Also increase the way the business is going to accelerate with market expansion and entries. The speed to market is key in this global, everyone is running after the globe to get the new markets. So if you are just stuck by setting up an entity and then having to find to hire and have an employment agreement and then find a vendor, etc., it can take you between 12 to 18 months. So have that in mind. In between 6 to 9 months, you're going to find a local vendor taking care of you, taking ahead your prototype, unfortunately, and competing against you. But also with the talent shortage, you need also with the global payroll strategy to be able to attract and retain top talent across all markets. The latest studies regarding this topic, all top talent wants to work with international companies. So they want to be able to, going forward, to have some mobility and to find this agility. So I'm going to finish with this nice quote from Lloyd Trump, VP HR from Dow. Highlighting one of the key topics we discussed today, success isn't just about having a plan, it's about forging a lasting strategic partnership with the right payroll provider. And I think it reflects what we have discussed today, and also your questions, you worry about, and we saw in the chat. Indeed, there are a lot of players in this market, but some are really, really good. GPA and ADP is one of them, and we are more than happy to help. So going to the next slide, I think you probably have some question, Melanie.
I do. I've just said to Judy that we've got some success stories, and I'm sure you guys have some success stories that we can share with Judy. So maybe that might be something that we should do on another webinar, maybe. So Judy, I'll get in touch with you directly, but we'll see if there's something else that we can do on that. So we've had some questions. So if you do have any more questions, please add them to the chat or the Q&A. But what are the biggest challenges companies face when managing a cross-border workforce?
That's a very good question. When it comes to success stories, just to get back to Judy's comment here in the chat, many times it's more and more often when success stories are part of our conversations. And it's super nice when you think about it. If people are afraid to move from local to global, obviously a success story is a guarantee for them. Hey, it really works. It's easy to defend it internally when it comes to having a global payroll project. So success stories for me, it could be something interesting to discuss in a future webinar. Could be. It's a good insight. When it comes to your question, Melanie, the biggest challenges, we mentioned it already several times during our conversation today. But for me, the main message is, if you want to make your company's growth solid, you should have a global payroll solution strategy in place. Otherwise, I would say that everything that you do with a fragmented payroll system damages or put in danger your company's growth, because it puts in risk your compliance in countries, it puts in risk your visibility, your control. Therefore, when it comes to growing, expanding, this is the time to set up a real global payroll project and probably start thinking about it and having these internal conversations.
I've left this slide up, so if you guys want to connect, you can scan the QR code and that will go to Angel's and Abby's LinkedIn profile. So I've left this on for now. We've got another question. What is the trend for big enterprise with regards of payroll service level?
Quite interesting question. Do you want me to take that one, Nahal?
Yeah.
Okay. I think this is quite interesting because in terms of most of the enterprise today are facing a lot of, after the pandemic and with the mobility and service level, various service level by country to another. I think the emergence or the emerging situation where remote and hybrid work is really a key topic that they have to manage today with remote and hybrid models. It become more prevalent to enable companies to tap into global talent pools that impact the way payroll is managed in a country versus another. And it's, of course, quite known for the small and mid-sized companies, but for enterprise, where they used to have they have for years in a country, they have a lot of employees, they have a large HR team, but managing this kind of volatility or agility is not what they do best. So facing this increase of demand for remote and hybrid work is really key. Also, digital transformation and automation. Everyone wants to automate all the processes, efficiencies, take the right decision. But the gig economy is also a problem for them because we see more and more employment model across the globe. And payroll is key for that because, the managing payroll with the multi-currency or having mobility across multiple countries or managing employees based on project-based work of freelancers is one of the trouble that very large enterprise are facing. I'm going to finish with also the employee well-being. So payroll and the payslip itself, we used to say in French, we play with the words and say fiche de paye, which means fiche of peace, which is basically the well-being, the ability to also secure the employees whatever they are, wherever they are, and also have a key balance between life and payroll. Is one of the key difficulties for large enterprise to understand, and because usually they used to manage a lot of volume in a stagnant manner. Now it's much more moving in different directions, and this is the kind of agility that they need to have. And most of the time, if they have SAP in place or very large payroll tools, it's much more difficult to manage a small population. But I guarantee you that for 6 people, you can spend as much time than for 200 or 300 people that you are managing in industrial mode.
I mean, you can think about how far we've come in the last 5 years, 10 years in the global payroll industry. It's pretty amazing, isn't it, if you look back?
Yeah, absolutely. It has changed totally. The pandemic made a lot on it, but also the people has changed. The employees want much more. They want to be able to leverage technology as they leverage it in a day-to-day basis. So if you are behind those technologies or can't offer them because you are stuck into, let's say, outdated model where you leverage with local payroll, with no offense to anyone, but probably it's the time to ask the right question. Do I have the right tools to go to the next step? So basically being able to address what the new generation of employees are looking for, making everything digitalize, everything, make it easy, get some stickiness, so reduce my turnover, increase the top talent that wants to join us, and make my brand much better across the globe. Global payroll will not resolve all the problems, but will give you the basic to be able to build on top of that.
Okay, I feel like that's brought us to a natural end to today's webinar. Join the 3 of us, maybe 4, but definitely the 3 of us on the 3rd of April with our next webinar. And if you use the QR code, it's also on the GPA website. So we'll send you a link so that you can also register. We did have a question specifically about China, but I'll give it to the guys because I think that's a pretty specific question that will be answered offline. So I'll share that with everyone, and we'll come back to you on that. But thank you so much. Thank you, Abby and Angel. I really enjoyed that. I love the competition. So I think we have to do that next time.
Absolutely, it's going to be
Super
lovely.
nice. Yeah.
And is there anything that you want to say before we leave?
Go, Abby.
Go ahead.
Please.
Go ahead. No, go ahead, Angel. Sorry.
So it was a real pleasure to have all of you here. I'll be more than happy to get some messages from you on my email so we can discuss other topics related to global payroll strategies, and any doubts that you might have. Feel free to reach out to me. And thank you for your time today.
Thank you, Angel. So we hope that you enjoyed. We didn't make it salesy. We want to be sure that you love it, and we have this same passion that you have for payroll and HR. So feel free to connect with us. Thank you, Melanie, and thank you, everyone.
Thank
Have a
you.
nice day, all.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
everyone. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.